turn it over to Katie Theisen, who is here with the Illinois Poor People's Campaign and is here to offer us a reflection tonight also on our theme of survival pending revolution. So Katie, please.
Fatima, thank you. I know we are just meeting tonight, but as someone shared in the chat, you have certainly blessed us. So thank you. Just as Reverend Jess pointed out, the verse in Mark of revolutionary burial societies, and as Fatima pointed out in the Holy Quran, we know there are critically important verses of scripture like this from our various religions that teach us that taking care is part of nonviolent revolution. Gratefully, there have been movements that have not even been written about, ones that are carried more in our bodies, ancestral stories, songs, and more. There have been places of gathering together, working to keep each other alive while movements were built, similar to what we read about in Mark, about those burial societies. But this caring for one another while organizing to create systems that care about everyone and all life, this is part of working to be and live into the change that we wish to create. One of the stories not written about but held dearly to me is from Maine. In recent years, there was a community that came together at a bus stop every week after police and the city cleared tent encampments. People came together to share food and any provisions that we had, medical supplies, clothing, etc., to keep one another alive. And after we ate together, we organized together. Now, it was messy to come together, definitely not easy to do so after our community had been, as all communities have, intentionally been so divided for so long. Yet that care for one another and organizing together led to public restrooms in a community where there were none, making sure that we all had somewhere for this daily necessity. Now I am in the south suburbs of Chicago. There's a group of us that are working to find and care for one another and organize at our local nonprofit organization. This nonprofit offers services in 22 communities stricken with the highest levels of poverty and unemployment in all of suburban Chicago. Recent studies show that nearly half of us living in these areas deal with food insecurity on a regular basis, representing more than 750,000 residents. Foreclosure rates in our service area are some of the highest in all of suburban Cook County. Most urgently, 30% of our area children are living below the federal poverty line. In the movement, we know the federal poverty line is well below where many of us begin to suffer. Our needs are not being met before we hit that line. So we know it's probably more like half of the children in our area are suffering from low income and all that comes with that. Adam and I have needed help paying our rent and health expenses over the years, despite both working hard. We have found our experience is far from being rare. We have several of us now meeting each other in the places that we need right now, that nonprofit where we all go for support. The place that began as charity alone is turning into a place where we have room for projects of survival, places of supporting each other while staying alive, working to change the systems. 2 days ago, I met people coming in for food there who could not even accept all the cold food offered because they have no access to a refrigerator nor have a method for cooking. 85 families came through the doors in just 5 hours needing food. And no, these nonprofits cannot solve all of our daily needs. If they did, we wouldn't need systems systems change to the extent that we do. However, these are places where we go to find that immediate food or other support. And it can be powerful to go somewhere for food or shelter resources, finding some of those immediate needs while also finding the possibility of community and a movement. And naturally, it's challenging to come together when we have intentionally been divided. We are divided by religion, race, language, sexuality, abilities, who is housed and who is not. People have named the division between staff at nonprofits who are likely also one paycheck away from needing to show up for services, and then those who are showing up each day for them currently. We need to be clear about the changes needed while not having our class be so divided while we do so. And we need to see our differences as necessary strengths for caring for each other and for building a movement. So we are working to witness one another here. We strive to see and hear one another's plight, our nonviolent fight and insight, and then the collective of these, the common root causes of our struggles. And we work to find other ways beyond this one nonprofit to meet one another's needs as best we can. Sometimes that's helping each other get rides somewhere, or making food for each other, or being the listening ear we each need. It's also making sure that we have some kind of food and water at all of our meetings, and making sure that we meet. We meet to see these connections and the larger context of all of our struggles, along with our nonviolent power. We meet to study together, which is also a form of caring for one another. It's how we identify and can then counter false moral narratives, which keep us demoralized and isolated. We lift one another up in these insights we share together. This is spiritual, mental, and emotional care. We have meetings which are then also places to slowly bond together, learning about one another's gifts and passions, each other's families. And we aren't perfect at any of it. Instead, we just show up in that brokenness that Fatima named. And each time we do, we seem to get to know each other and commit to one another more each time. And we do not only study, but figure out next action steps together. Do we need to help someone connect with their union rep for employment support? Do we need to join efforts in non-violently demanding that our local VA keep mental health services for our veterans? And what does that look like? What does it look like to keep growing our movement, meeting more potential movement family at the nonprofit that welcomes us to organize there? So we find ways to study together, act together, and care for each other as we go. With all of this, I am grateful for movement family and stories from our people through history who demonstrate that community care and organizing go together. That we have to humanize one another and see the value of all creation. Witnessing this changes how we act towards one another and can help us create systems change too. Caring for each other is our means and our end. We want to care for each other while we organize because we hope to create systems that one day say everybody and all of creation has the right to live and thrive. We move closer to those systems when we practice them together while we organize. So we're holding community care and organizing for systems change together, seeing that both are necessary.